All right, everyone. Welcome back to the GDFL podcast hosted by yours truly, Andrew Korn. This week we have the other Andrew in the league joining me today, guy Andrew Sjogren, otherwise known as TJ or Barbara. How's it going, True?
Doing all right. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
I
appreciate.
believe my second time on the podcast.
Yeah, I think you made one appearance last year towards the end of the season, so appreciate you joining on and talking to me today. Don't have a ton to get through. There's not too much happening across the GDFL quite yet, but we'll still find something to talk about. So. Without further ado, here's a quick look at our matchups from last week. So at the top of my screen here, I beat Levi about 101 to 71. Chaz beat Stun 134 to 127. Shrew beat Logan 105 to 86.
Let's
Rever
go.
Rever beat Sokol 141 to 90. Beans beat Jake 136 to 119. And then last but not least, we have Ryan beating Mark at 136 to about 122. So just looking at this, do you have any initial thoughts you want to talk about before we dive into more matchups?
I was thinking, like through the Sunday slate, that a lot of the games were going to be pretty low scoring, but then looking at it now, it seems like a pretty average distribution of points that we scored in our league this week. We've got a couple up in the high 130s, and then we've got a couple down below 100, but for the most part, it seems pretty standard, and most of the games weren't particularly close.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting is like if you look at it, it looks like Ryan and Trevor and Chaz beat their projections, but no, and Ryan's the only one who beat his projection by more than 10. So I would say it definitely was a low scoring week, and I think that's reflected based off of what we saw in the real NFL too. I know going into Sunday night, I think it was the Colts, Jets, and Steelers were the only teams that have scored more than 28 points. And I don't think very many of us were starting too many players from any of those teams.
Certainly
Uh,
not.
I don't. I think Fields is like from the Jets. It was like Fields, Wilson, Brees. I'd have to look at everyone's lineup,
Mhm.
but like Colts was like probably just JT and Pittman, maybe Downs. Yeah,
Yeah.
Steelers was DK and Jalen Warren. Maybe Levi started. Caleb
I didn't
Johnson.
realize before the week, but I didn't realize your projection was all the way up at 142. That's a pretty impressive number for a projection.
Yeah, I mean, same with Marks. His was also at 142. I
Oh, yeah.
think, yeah, I want to say from last year to, we're really the last 3 years to this year, Sleeper has really upped their projections. Like, I feel like they used to be really conservative with how they had weekly projections, but now it's
Mhm.
something that they've really taken. I don't know. I feel like the projections now are much more reflective of what their actual averages are. I used to feel like before they used to project like 75% of what their actual weekly performance would be.
Yeah, I feel like the projections are probably actually pretty hard to do because every week there's so many players that boom because they score a touchdown or two, but it's so volatile and hard to predict. So they definitely have their work cut out for them when they're doing that.
Hmm. Yeah. So, is there any matchup in here in particular you want to talk about?
I was happy to get a win here, especially with a couple low performing people that I'm sort of counting on for my team this year, with like AJ Brown, Pacheco, both having a little bit tough weeks. Stroud not having a great game either. So definitely fortunate to be leaving here with a 1-0 record.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think when I looked at my projections, I feel like you said my projection was 142 and I scored 101. So, yeah, I was pretty low under what mine was. Like, I think Brees and Kyler were the only ones who scored over their projections, and that was by like one and maybe like 2 or 3 points combined.
Hmm.
So, I'm there with you. I'm fortunate to face Levi this week. He didn't have a particularly good week. I did not have a good week. Uh, yeah, some of the ones that like, I mean, I think the biggest one that stands out to me was Trevor was our top scorer week one. I mean, I was higher on Trevor's team going into the season than both Ryan and Levi were. And seeing him as the top scorer isn't that much of a shock to me because I did have him as a playoff team. So,
Yeah, whenever you have Josh Allen on your team, you can put up some big weeks.
hmm. Yeah, that's I think what the like really the big story was week one. I really don't feel like there was a ton of, especially at wide receiver, like all of the elite wide receivers for the most part busted. Like Chase
Hmm.
only had 2 catches. Nico Collins only had like 2 or 3 catches. AJ Brown had like 1 catch. Like the list goes on and on. If I looked at the top 12 redraft wide receivers and compared it to their actual performances, it's pretty much a list full of busts. Like even like Drake London only had like 8 points.
Yeah, Puka had a good day, but that's because he had a ton of catches and yards, and he didn't even score, and still ended up with 18 points.
Mhm. Yeah. I think the other big takeaway I have from this was I had some doubts on like Ryan's flexes going into the season. And I think he had 4 receivers in the top 10 of receiver scoring this week between like Buka, Keon Coleman, Quinn Johnson, and Keenan Allen all put up pretty solid weeks. Um, he didn't, I don't think
Yeah,
he started QJ, but yeah, you're,
I've been pretty low on Keon this whole time, so I was definitely surprised to see him put up the performance that he did. And Keenan Allen, like he's just one of those guys that you don't really ever think is going to do well, but then you look at their stat line at the end of the day, and they had a good game. It's pretty remarkable.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, he's been a bit of an ageless wonder too. I mean, I think last year, I'd have to double check, but he averaged like around 8 or 9 points a game. It wasn't anything flashy, but again, just like gets a lot of catches still, just gets open in like the short yardage situations, gets peppered with those zone like targets that like Cooper Kupp got a few years ago. Just like that type of player still.
Looks like about 10 points a game for Keenan last year, which is sort of about what I thought it was.
Okay, so that's higher than I thought. Man, it might have been lower at the
Yeah,
beginning of the year, and he picked up towards the end of the year. I could be wrong on that though.
yeah, he was just taking targets that people wanted Rome to get. And I
Hmm
know Bears fans were wanting them to go to Rome, but Keenan was just the old reliable who was getting open and doing what the offense needed.
hmm Yeah. I'm just taking one last look at this before we move on. Like none of I mean, Rhino over Mark's a bit of an upset, but otherwise this kind of went. I guess maybe Chaz over Stun, but their projections were within like 2 points of each other. For the most part, it was a pretty chalky week, and nothing too crazy happened.
Agreed.
All right. So here's a quick look at the draft order going into next year's draft. I wouldn't read much into this. This is going to fluctuate a lot in the next few weeks. I think the biggest thing though is Logan's looking like he has picks 1 and 2 right now, and I mean based on what my power rankings were, having Levi and Logan as the worst 2 teams, I think there's a very real chance that Logan ends up with the top 2 picks in this draft. Should he keep those picks?
Yeah, I was looking at that a little bit today too, especially more so in terms of Levi and what Levi's got going on, because obviously he won the championship and then sort of tore it down and just drafted a ton of people this year. And I thought he might take a little bit slower of an approach and do a rebuild that maybe takes multiple years. But with him putting the 2028 first on the trade block today, I went and looked and saw that he also didn't have his 2027. So he's really going to need to hope that just the sheer number of people he took this year, enough of them pan out that can fill up a roster.
hmm Yeah, I think going into the draft, like Levi had very few draft picks and then traded for like all 12 or so picks that he made. So that's one thing I'm not too worried about with Levi is if he wants to get back into a draft, he'll find a way.
That's
He,
true.
no, yeah, just because this is what his roster is today, I'm guessing it'll look very different by the end of the year. He was the first team in the league to have complete roster turnover, and I think that was happened by like the end of year 2. So.
That guy loves to trade.
Oh yeah. No, I think his total trade number was at like 120-ish when I wrote the newsletter. And I was second with about 60, which I still feel like is a lot. I mean, a lot of those are with Levi, but yeah, and Levi puts up some crazy, crazy trade numbers. I mean, that's an average of, I mean, shit, we're a week into year 4. It's like 30, 40 trades a year. One a week almost for every week of the year.
It's an
Maybe.
inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, there was a trade that came in pretty late last night between Levi and Ryan. It was Levi sending Najee Harris to Ryan for a 2026 third, probably going to be late since it's Marks. Uh, Ryan gets his handcuff for Omarion Hampton. Najee. Don't really think there's much else to this one, but good for Ryan getting the handcuff, I suppose, and good for Levi getting more draft picks.
Yeah, I know Levi's been trying to get off Najee ever since he acquired him, which is, as we just discussed, the Levi special. But um, yeah, seems like a decent move for both sides.
Hmm. Yeah. Like I said, not a ton to say about this. I mean, this works out better for Ryan if Najee ever does become the starter for a week if Hampton misses time, but pretty safe insurance bet for now.
For sure.
And so this brings us to the special segment of our show where we're going to do an NFL award predictions. So we're going to be going through MVP, offensive and defensive player of the year, offense and defensive rookie of the year, comeback player of the year, and coach of the year. Uh, so I have the top like 20 players and their odds at each position or at each award. And something that really stuck out to me when I pulled this up was Jordan Love being fifth in the MVP odds right now, tied for fourth with Mahomes and Burrow. Seemed kind of ambitious to me. Uh,
Yeah, the it's the Packers factor right now. Like pe people are just really thinking the Packers are going to be, one of those top two or three teams in the league. And typically the MVP goes to one of those guys that's on the quarterback of one of the best teams. So I think that's definitely playing a factor here.
yeah, this entire list is 21 players, and they're also all quarterbacks.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, like so. This is something like so. When I originally thought of this segment, I was doing it Friday after the Chiefs Chargers game, and I actually put money on Herbert to win MVP. And that's gonna be my hot take is that this is Justin Herbert's year to win MVP. I was really impressed by what the Chargers were doing on Friday night against the Chiefs. And yeah, I feel like the NFL does whenever a new player emerges into the MVP conversation, they usually give it to him. There's with voter fatigue and whatnot. My hot take is Herbert's winning MVP this year. So I hope I curse stun on that one. I'm sure he's gonna listen to this, text me that, God damn it, Corn, why are you picking Herbert to win MVP? But
Uh, what were the odds on Friday versus what they are now? Do you remember?
I'll take a look at that. I think it was plus 1600. Trying to
Okay.
remember. I put it in after the game, and I'm sure it went. Yeah, it's got worse after I put it in, but
Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, one I think is disrespectful is having Jared Goff behind Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers. That's he was fifth last year, and like I mean I get he's probably not gonna be fifth again this year, but behind some of these quarterbacks just feels a little much to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see.
Yep. For me, I really look at those top two guys, and I know there's the voter fatigue, but at the end of the day, they're both just so dynamic. They're so consistent. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I feel like every year it could realistically come down to just those two guys, and
Mhm.
that would be my pick at this point is one of those two guys.
Oh, absolutely. If I were I mean, I put money on Herbert because I like the odds. The odds were plus 1600 when I placed it. It's plus 1200 now. I could cash out and make 11 cents on it. So maybe I'll consider doing that. But
And maybe wait a few weeks, see if you can up those numbers.
yeah, we'll see. I put money on Allen winning MVP last year and ended up making some back. So I usually don't sports bet a ton, but that was one where I just kind of felt good about it.
Yep.
Uh, Yeah, so you have you're okay. If you can only pick one, I know you mentioned you like both Allen and Jackson. I want you to pick one person to win MVP.
I'll go with Josh Allen.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a safe bet, especially if the way he played Sunday night. It's hard to say otherwise. So,
Head-to-head winner. Yeah. Like if there's going to be a tiebreaker, maybe that'll be it.
hmm. Okay, so up next we have Offensive Player of the Year. So headlining this in the top five, we have Derrick Henry at one, Saquon second best odds, Puka third, CMC fourth, and CeeDee Lamb fifth. So again, I pulled this about an hour ago, which I think explains why Jamar Chase isn't in the top five. Probably same with like Gibbs as well. I imagine there's some fluctuation. Let's see what Puka's odds are. Puka's are plus 1200, so a little bit better than what CMC and Lambs are. So originally, when I had written my notes last Friday, I had Nico Collins as my hot take being Offensive Player of the Year. Not feeling as good about that one after week one with the way the Texans' offense apparently looked. I didn't watch that game.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game either, but that just feels like a nightmare matchup for the Texans with having a poor offensive line and the Rams having a good defensive line. Like, I just can't really picture a way that CJ Stroud had enough time to do anything that he wanted to do in the pocket.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at this. Yeah, I'm like Derrick Henry had a monster game, and like it's really hard to want to bet against Derrick Henry winning Offensive Player of the Year. Like I said, my hot take was Nico.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna stick with my hot take. Nico wins Offensive Player of the Year. He's gonna boom after this week. This poor week one.
I am a fortunate owner of Derrick Henry in my redraft league, so I was happy to see that after league mates were talking like he might be washed or like any of these years he could be washed, and he certainly does not look washed to me. I think my pick right now is going to be CMC for Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, there's a huge degree of risk in there, but every time he plays, he's the number one or number two running back in the league. So I think getting him at a discount here in the odds, I think it's risky, but I think it has a pretty good chance to hit if he's able to stay healthy.
Hmm. How it's really interesting, like looking at the top three running backs here are Derrick Henry, Saquon, and CMC, all kind of older, established backs at this point, like maybe at or past the age cliff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's hard to want to bet against CMC. I mean, he had a pretty good week this past week as well. And then with all the injuries going on at the 49ers right now, uh, it's like it's kind of the runway's open for him to keep having a monster season. Oh, that was
For
something
sure.
else I was going to bring up when we were talking about individual teams was two big injuries of the week with me losing Kittle and then Trevor losing Xavier Worthy. For Trevor to still be the top scorer last week with Worthy putting up a zero was
Hmm.
pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, Kittle is someone I was extremely excited for going into the year with the way the 49ers receiver room was looking with Jennings not practicing at all pretty much during training camp. And then Ayuk's going to be out half the season-ish. Like I was really hoping Kittle was going to have a big year, and he still can. But yeah, him going out in IR today was it's a pretty tough blow.
For sure. Yeah. I was thinking he was going to have a big year too.
Yeah.
My favorite choice down the board here for the Offensive Player of the Year is Drake London. I really think he's just going to get like so many targets from Michael Penix. So I really think that he's going to have a huge year.
All right. Well, we have similar tastes because I drafted Drake London a lot this year. Good man, true. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean Drake London had I think 15 targets this past week. Like I think there's a chance he just gets absolutely like fed with
He should have scored too. He had like two targets in the fourth quarter and dropped sort of both of them. A little bit
okay.
unfortunate.
Okay. So yeah, you picked CMC with a dark horse of Drake London.
Yep.
I if I had to pick one, if like that's my real one, I probably would just go with the favorite here of Derrick Henry. But my spicy take is still gonna be Nico Collins. I think he's a top five receiver in football.
I agree.
Okay, so NFL Depoy. I remember when I looked at this on Friday, Hutch was actually second in the odds, which looks like he's fallen down to fifth. But yeah, looking at the top five, we have Miles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, Will Anderson, and then Hutch, and then TJ Watt's not too far behind. Can't really say I know. I mean, I feel like this award usually goes to the best edge rusher. I know last year it went to Pat Surtain. Um, I feel like whoever ends up with the most sacks is probably gonna end up winning this award. Sealing Jalen Carter on there is funny. I feel like after the spit incident, maybe people forget about it, but don't feel like he has a shot at winning Depoy. I do like looking at some of the lesser odds. I do like Kyle Hamilton there at plus 5,000. I think he's a damn good safety. Um, yeah.
Yeah, my down the board pick is going to be Fred Warner. I think it just feels like everybody knows he's a super good linebacker, and maybe one of these years there's not a guy that leads in sacks or interceptions, and you finally give it to the guy who's just going to be super steady the entire year and just be making all kinds of plays at the mid level. and maybe it's Fred Warner's year.
hmm Yeah, I really so like originally when I had read my list, I had Aiden Hutchinson like winning Depoy, which is a homer pick. My fear is it's going to be Micah Parsons, especially if the narrative of him being traded to the Packers, like he's getting all the steam right now. The Packers are getting all the steam right now.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna bet on Depoy 'cause I feel like it's way more volatile than some of the offensive awards, but I have a bad feeling about Parsons.
I'm completely with you on Parsons. I think the narrative is just a little bit out of control right now, and uh, I think he had a decent game on Sunday, but I don't think he was, as crazy as some people in the media are saying he was.
hmm
But the still the narrative is just gonna to ride him to the top of this list for most of the season.
Oh yeah, and like I feel like narrative is what matters more of a lot of these awards. Like for whatever reason, last year the narrative was Josh Allen was going to win MVP, even though like Lamar had the better statistical season. And I feel like the opposite was true in 2023, where Allen had the better statistical season, but then Lamar had the narrative of winning because the Ravens were the one seed that year.
Hmm.
So again, I really hate that that's the way it goes sometimes, but yeah, it's kind of feeling like they're going to try and give it to Micah Parsons if they can.
Yep, especially if the Packers end up being as good as they think they are.
hmm Okay, so here's a fun one. So here's a offensive rookie of the year. So we have Genty at the best odds. We have Cam Ward. Tyler Warren is now three, which is kind of crazy to me. We have Emeka Egbuka and Travis Hunter tied for fourth, and then Marion Hampton at six, Ted at seven, Travion Henderson at eight. Uh, Tesla's on the list at plus 8,000. Great value, certainly going to win. Had catch of the year week one. Go Lions.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Go Lions, indeed.
Yeah, that Tesla, man, what a sick first catch in your NFL career. I mean, that was OBJ-esque, and I wish the game was closer because that deserved more attention than what's going to end up receiving.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll admit that I had turned the game off at that point, so I had to catch that one on Twitter.
Yeah, Sokol had turned it off too. I was texting him like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that catch." And he's like, "Damn, I turned the game off. What happened?" And it's just like, it was OBJ-esque. You gotta just watch it. I remember
Yep.
like watching the first couple replays of it too. I still really wasn't sure if his foot was down. And then there's the one angle in particular I remember seeing where it's like, "Oh no, that left foot's down before the butt hits. Let's fucking go."
Yep.
Anywho, so
Good stuff.
this is gonna be my really hot take on offensive rookie of the year. I think it's gonna be Travion Henderson. I think he was one of the best running backs in this class. I mean, I really like him as a pass catcher, and I maybe this is just me being higher on the Patriots than I should be, but I think Henderson's gonna surprise some folks down the stretch of this year.
I didn't get a chance to watch that game, so I don't want to speak on it too much, but I was definitely very high on his abilities coming out as well. I was hoping to get the chance to draft him in our draft, but unfortunately wasn't able to.
hmm Yeah.
My down the board one here I'd go with is Jackson Dart. I think that everything from the Giants camp is they don't really want to start Russ anymore, and it's week one. So I really think he's going to come in and put a little jolt of lightning into that team, and especially with the way he played in the preseason, I really think he can just sort of take off. And maybe again, it's sort of a narrative thing here. If maybe they stick with Russ for a couple games and then bring Dart in, and then all of a sudden go on a win streak, then that could be something that really drives him forward.
No, I really like that pick too. I mean, I know like after the game, Dable was uncommitted to announcing him as the week two starter, which is a pretty big red flag. Like if his job's not secure after 1 week, how quickly is Dart actually going to play?
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of crazy to think about Russ in this narrative. Like if somebody told you that in 2017, that Russ as like, I don't know how old he is, like
35-ish.
34, 35. Yeah. Like if somebody told you like Russ couldn't lock down a job for like 4 consecutive years as a 34-year-old, like I wouldn't have believed that really.
hmm Yeah, I mean, that's what's interesting for us is like I think it's gonna be interesting with this current generation of quarterbacks who like really rely on athleticism to get by. Like I feel like what made Russ special was just like him being able to roll out of the pocket and him just not having that same athleticism has like really sapped like what made him special.
Hmm.
So that's gonna be
Especially with
really
sacks.
interesting. Yeah, with like Josh Allen and Lamar and even Mahomes, like a lot of these guys who are like the really mobile quarterbacks, how they're gonna age. Because like Cam Newton fell off. I mean, a lot of that I think was like he had a lot of shoulder injuries, but he fell off hard when his time had come. Yeah, that's something I remember. I've talked with Sokol about this several times and other people. But yeah, like I'm really curious to see how the next gen of quarterback just like ages. But yeah, like going back to Dart, I love the Dart pick as a dark horse for Rookie of the Year. Like I think if I remember right, the Giants had like pretty rough first 6 weeks of the season, so I wouldn't be shocked once the Giants are like 1-5 or 0-6 when they'll hand the reins over to them.
Yeah, I guess it might be a little bit too late at that point for him to get into the offensive rookie of the year conversation. Although that's an award that's a little bit less tied to how good the team is.
Hmm.
But you never know.
Yeah, I want to say like I mean OBJ won it his rookie year, right? And he missed like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, he did miss a few games at the start. I guess I forget if he won it, but
Yeah, I thought he did. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering though.
yeah, he also had that full on moment where he he really announced himself
Hmm.
and then just kind of ran with it.
Yeah. Whoops. Okay, well, looks like I forgot to pull in the odds for defensive rookie of the year. I was just gonna pick whoever was, I don't know, I don't really care. Anyway, coach of the year. So we have Liam Cohen has the best odds. We have Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Pete Carroll, and Mike Vrabel are the best odds on this list. Dan Campbell's on here. I mean, there's only 32 coaches. Him being in the top half, I guess, isn't that surprising. Um, Going into this, going like when I did my notes on Friday, I had Liam Cohen winning it, but a take I might be leaning towards now is former Lions coach Aaron Glenn taking home Coach of the Year. I was really impressed with the way that I mean I know they lost, but the way the Jets offense looked Sunday. That was the game I ended up watching Sunday was that Steelers Jets game, and I was entertained. I thought the Jets offense looked really good, and like I think their defense can be better than what they showed in that game.
Nice, yeah, that'd be a fun one. For me, I would definitely look at like Kevin O'Connell down there, way at the bottom. Like if the Vikings are able to be a good team this year, like they're really just gonna give it to Kevin O'Connell for sure.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
the
then
other, yeah, go ahead.
obviously that's a big if at this point. And for 3 quarters yesterday, they looked pretty uncompetitive. But then for some reason they just kept trusting Kevin O'Connell, and it ended up working out for him in the end. So I think that's one that I'd be keeping my eye on.
Yeah. Another one I'm looking at is Jim Harbaugh. If the Chargers win the division over the Chiefs this year, will that happen? Maybe not. But I feel like
You're just
again,
in
if
on the
you're,
Chargers.
yeah, if I'm in on Herbert winning MVP, I have to be in on Harbaugh winning Coach of the Year. Like I feel like Chargers are probably the 1 or 2 seed if that happens, which I guess
Yeah.
isn't like that big of a jump from where they've been. But I could if yeah, again, if the narrative is there that the Chargers are the best team in football, then it absolutely could be them. I, Another one I like is Jonathan Gannon with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals could be a sneaky playoff team this year. And again, if I feel like it's more likely going to be one of these first year coaches that are in the top five, but Jonathan Gannon's another one. I don't I could see the Cardinals making the playoffs. Do I think they will? Probably not. But if they, I think the NFC West is pretty wide open though. So you never know.
I'd want to look back at the history of it and see if first year coaches typically do well in this, or if it's more an award for more established coaches.
Yeah, so I know. I mean, Kevin O'Connell won last year, and like that was his second or third year with the Vikings. Something like that. I know Dable won it his first year coaching the Giants. I think McVay won it his first year when he was the Rams coach. Stefanski won it his first year as the Browns coach, I think, and then won it a few years later when Flacco was leading him to the playoffs. Uh,
Yeah, I guess you're right. And Rabel won in 2021, which might have been his first year with the Titans too.
yeah, I don't think that was his first year, but I know the Titans were the 1 seed that year. So I think Vrabel came in whenever Tannehill joined the Titans, which I think was 2019. But I mean, that was still like, I mean, the Titans being the 1 seed that year was kind of remarkable.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially of how loaded the AFC was with all these quarterbacks, and then for Vrabel and the Titans to take the 1 seed that year, I think pretty deserving. Um,
Yeah, coach of the year is one thing that I just don't really pay much attention to. Like it seemed to me last year, like Dan Campbell should have been the coach of the year, and when he wasn't, it's like, what is this award really for?
Oh, I know. Sometimes, like I know Bill Belichick, I think he's won it 2 or 3 times. So it's like, does it go to the coach of the best team? That I feel like the most of the time it goes to the coach who exceeds expectations the most.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, it's gonna be a shame because I don't know if Dan Campbell's ever gonna win Coach of the Year when he definitely could have any of the last 3 years. Um, I mean, I feel like if he was going to, it was probably in 2023, but they gave it to Stefanski, which I mean, I get it. They had like 4 quarterbacks that year and they still made the playoffs.
yeah.
Um,
Real ones know about Dan Campbell though.
hmm
We'll
Oh yeah.
always be able to live with ourselves.
hmm Yeah, and again, does it really matter at the end of the day? Not a ton. Like I really didn't have much of a problem with Kevin O'Connell winning it last year. To have Sam Darnold lead them to a 14-win season, that's yeah, I think that was the third best record in football behind the Lions and Chiefs. That's hard to argue.
Yeah, impressive stuff.
Okay, and I think this is the last one I have on here is comeback player of the year. So looks like CMC has the best odds right now. We have Dak Prescott, Aiden Hutchinson, Trevor Lawrence are all head and shoulders above the rest in odds. See JJ, Chubb, and Daniel Jones on here too. Um, yeah, most of these guys are coming off injuries, or in the case of Daniel Jones, just being bad. Um,
I feel like there's a couple guys that were just bad,
yeah, who else?
like Cooper Cup. He missed a little bit of
Oh,
time, but like he didn't end the year hurt.
yeah, that's true. I mean, those odds are pretty long shot odds, but yeah, I guess Nick Chubb too. I mean, I know he missed some time last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like JJ McCarthy when he come back player of the year is crazy because I mean I know he missed his rookie year, but
come
like
back from what?
I know like he was in. I mean he was injured, but he hasn't played.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean I feel like the top four feels pretty chalky to me. It's gonna probably be one of them. If the Cowboys make the playoffs, I could definitely see it being Dak. If the Jags win the division, could definitely see it being T-Law. Yeah, comeback player of the year is another dumb one because Burrow won it last year. And like I know Burrow had that wrist injury in 23, but it's just like how did J.K. Dobbins not win it last year?
for
Or
sure.
I feel like there's someone else last year that was like very obviously should have been.
Damar Hamlin, maybe?
Yeah, Hamlin, I mean, shit. That would have been a good one too. I think
Yeah.
Flacco had won it over Hamlin a couple years ago, or maybe it's the other way around. Again, that doesn't really matter. Um,
Yeah, I feel like maybe Damar Hamlin should just get it every year he's still in the league.
hmm yeah. Rashi Rice being on this list is also kind of crazy. I mean, I know he was injured last year, but he suspended the first 6 games, and like the narrative would have to be pretty wild, for him to win it. I feel like that they usually don't give awards to people they know are just not good people off the field, but it could be
Yeah,
wrong. I feel like Tyreek Hill might have won
good for
Offensive
them.
Player of the Year one year. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if I had to, I hope it's Hutch. That'd be sick if he leads the league in sacks. I just got some sleeper notifications. I was wondering if I was going to break some news here, but it was nothing important. It was nothing really for
Too
the
bad.
GDFL. I know. That's something I'm hoping to do one of these times is there's a trade that breaks while this is recording. I know last year I did one. I was talking about me having like my 11th overall pick, and it was when Levi and I were doing a way too early mock draft. And then like a few minutes later, Sokol had accepted a trade that I had sent him where I got Kittle and Montgomery.
Hmm.
It was
Yeah.
just like fun because I knew that trade was about to happen as I'm talking to Levi about
Yeah, that's good.
hmm
Yeah, I'd love to see Hutch come back and have a bunch of sacks too.
hmm yeah.
All the reports in camp were that he was just dominating everybody. So I didn't quite see that against the Packers, but hopefully we can get that back moving
hmm
forward.
Yeah, I mean, big week this week. Hopefully, I can get to Caleb a few times. Yeah, I mean, and that was the same narrative I saw all of camp too. Was that Hutchinson was like truly dominating, and yeah, I don't know if like that's saying something because he was going against Sewell every day.
Hmm.
So for him to literally be dominating, although that's something Sewell looked pretty bad, I thought this past week against the Packers. I thought he got beaten a few times on some pass rushes.
Yeah, I think he gave up a couple of pressures to Parsons, but I mean that's a tough matchup, and uh, I think we can give him a little bit of slack there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was a tough matchup. The offensive line in general was really rough this past week. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's probably trying to step up and help the guard a lot too,
hmm
Ratledge. So
Yeah. No, there's a
it's
few
tough
times.
because you want to focus on your job, but then you also know that there's a guy next to you making his first career start. So
hmm Yeah, it felt like Glasgow didn't have a very good game either. It felt like the interior is where most of the Packers pass rush had come from.
yeah, Glasgow's the one that I'm worried about too. Just a longtime journeyman now being the crux of your offensive line feels a little bit scary.
hmm Yeah. All right. So we have about 2 minutes left here. I think we kind of covered everything I was planning to cover. Do you have any final thoughts before I sign off?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the GDFL podcast. Best of luck to everyone this week. Oh, that was something I forgot. I haven't done this in a while. I was going to put in a quick preview of next week's matchups, but, well, you can all do that on your own time, I suppose. Best of luck to everyone again. Love you all. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.